All right, let's get it fired up. Episode 16 of Dan Mathews and the Animals. You know who I am. You know who he is. He's the animal part. He is Matt Maltepes. I am Dan Mathews. I am not the animal in this equation. But, Matt, 4 plays last weekend as we saw 4 really good games in college football. I mean, I know that some of them score-wise did not live up to that hype. I know that the Oregon-Washington game definitely did. That was one that really excited a lot of people, but we will break them all down here on today's show and, of course, get you ready for a massive weekend of college football. May I interest you in a massive Big Ten battle between Ohio State and Penn State? I think you probably would be interested in that. May I interest you in the third Saturday in October, known as Alabama and Tennessee from Tuscaloosa this year? I think I can interest you in that. We will have all of that and much more on Thursday. But, Matt, let's get to the plays that we had on Saturday. Let's start first with a huge winner for us. Me and you both were in unison on this. We felt like that USC were paper tigers. It was only a matter of time until somebody got them. I personally, even with Caleb Williams, believe they are still gettable 2 or 3 more times this season when you factor in that defense and just how awful they are. And look, just as I was saying yesterday locally about the Astros, of course, I work for the flagship station of the Astros, saying, hey, it's like Linkin Park once said in that song, the fault is my own. Well, when it comes to Lincoln Riley in this case, the fault is his own, because after last season and that debacle in the Pac-12 championship game, he should have moved on from Alex Grinch and actually gone with a capable defensive coordinator. Who knows where USC would be right now, but his loyalty did not pay off, and USC had 48 points hung on them by Sam Hartman and this Notre Dame offense.
Yeah, I mean, I told you the world was going to bet USC, and I said I would be in an island by myself with an Irish -2.5 ticket, and guess what? I was enjoying the island breezes because this one is kind of a breeze. Notre Dame beat the shoes off of this Trojans team. I told you guys last week's episode or so, USC was weaker than, you think, so they hadn't versed anyone in serious competition, and look what happened. USC has not versed any good defenses until this point. And every defense they have versed has been weaker than weak, and that's why the offense struggled heavily. They only put up 20 for this Notre Dame team, and this is a reminder to all bettors out there: skewed statistics are your friends in the betting industry. And if you look at USC, look at the defense. They've had struggles in the past. Whether it was Colorado and some of these other teams. So, yeah, I'm just happy to bet Notre Dame and have that, cash ticket. And can't wait for that or the Ohio State, Penn State game next week. I may give a little sneak peek into what we have at the end of the show for that one.
All right. I love that tease, sir. Any chance of making some money, I am all about it. Appreciate that. Of course, the animal himself, Matt Maltepes. But, again, this kind of just gets back to, and this, if you want to join in on this, Matt, feel free. Certain coaches have blind spots. Like, for example, when Les Miles was at LSU, offense was his blind spot. He just could not get out of his own way in terms of allowing for an offense to develop and be a capable part of their team. It's not that he didn't have players. It's just that he couldn't allow for it. It seems like physicality and defense are one of those things for Lincoln Riley, that he can try to tell you that he's got the right people in place, but I just don't think that he understands what exactly is needed for those things to come to fruition.
Well, when it's a constant theme that you don't have the physicality, well, what's the constant theme? It's him. So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong at all, as USC licking their wounds after this one. Let's save Oregon and Washington for last. That was such a really good game, and it was one that lived up to the hype, like I said. Let's talk Miami and North Carolina, as number 25, Miami went to Chapel Hill to take on UNC. How about them Heels? They are 6-0 now. Drake May, everybody's talking about Florida State for good reason, but people need to start talking about Drake May and these Carolina Tar Heels. Tez Walker being made eligible. He factored in this game on Saturday as the Tar Heels able to run away with this one, 41-31 over the Hurricanes, as the Tar Heels able to easily cover that 4 and also able to go over the over, which you liked, in this. You took the over. It was 58, and it was crushed to the tune of 72. How'd you like it?
Yeah, it was a scoring fest. I mean, this game went just as expected. We put that over 57, and they easily flew over that number. Both teams, they put up a lot of yards in this one. They were 10 yards short of breaking 1,000 yards gained in the game combined. Miami, Florida passed all over the UNC defense, putting up almost 400 yards. Passing, while UNC ran all over the Miami, Florida defense, running for 235 yards. So, they were just putting up yards in this game and putting up points. Both QBs had 4 touchdowns. Again, this game went over big time. But as for the side, I mean, to me, the big difference was the turnovers, as I constantly say every single week. Miami, Florida had 4 turnovers compared to UNC, 0 turnovers. If Miami, Florida takes care of their ball, I mean, I think they win this game without a doubt. They were up at halftime, 17-14. And then in the second half, they had a couple turnovers, and then they had to turn on downs as well. So Miami, Florida, to me, technically was the right side here, unless you forecasted such a big turnover differential. You know what I mean, from 4-0. And they only lost by 10, so they're up at half. So they really had a shot. If they just, took care of that ball a little bit more, I think they would have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close chance for them, especially too. I mean, they really wanted this one after the way that Georgia Tech game ended. But care to dream with me for a little bit on this? Because here's what UNC has left coming up this season on their schedule. They are at home this weekend for Virginia. That'll be a win. They go on the road to Georgia Tech, a team who has had their number the last 2 years, mind you. So, that's something to keep an eye on.
Tough.
Yes.
Tough. The end of last year, they went on a run. So, yeah, Georgia Tech team's a little, you got to watch out for them. You can't overlook them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team that Brent Key definitely has playing scrappy football. There's no doubt about it. Campbell, the Camels, they're going to come to Chapel Hill. That should be easy. And then this is where it gets a little sketchy for them. They've got Duke at home. They got to go on the road to Clemson. And then they got to finish up the season against NC State, a struggling NC State team. But, you could care to dream if you are UNC. I mean, it's kind of like in the hierarchy of conference championship games at the end of the year. The ACC is one of the lowest ones on that list because everybody looks at the SEC championship game. Most people, most years, will pay a little bit closer attention to the Big Ten, but it's pretty much one really good team and one, okay, I guess, and they end up getting smacked, so that's not really a great game. The Big 12 championship has been fantastic over these last few years, and obviously the Pac-12, what we saw last year, and I think we're going to get a good Pac-12 championship game again this year. All of a sudden, it's not just going to be the Saturday night forgotten about game. I think people this year, if it goes on this path and it's UNC and Florida State for the ACC championship game, Matt, that might be the best one out of all of them.
That's going to be definitely one you're going to want to get your popcorn ready for, right? But, I mean, UNC, they have, 3 strong teams at the end, Clemson, Duke, and then they have, a struggling NC State team. The problem is they're back-to-back-to-back. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah,
so
those 3 at the end.
You would prefer that they were, at least in my opinion, you prefer that they were a little spread out because back-to-back-to-back weeks against very hard teams with, good defenses, it takes a toll. So we'll see how that plays out. But definitely get your popcorn ready if it's Florida State UNC.
Yeah, that would be awesome for sure, especially, too, a great quarterback battle, great receiver battle, Tez Walker against Keon Coleman and the crew for Florida State. So, yeah, that would be definitely a lot of fun. Hopefully we are rewarded, and I'm sure that the organizers in Charlotte are probably like, please, please, please. We've had Pitt, Wake Forest. We've had, Clemson against a nobody. Like, Clemson fans, even though it's right up the road, are kind of like, I don't want to go to Charlotte. What do I care about that? But if you have UNC there, definitely going to be a different element in the equation. The same deal with Florida State, having not been there in so many years. So that's something to keep an eye on. Real quick, before we get to the massive Pac-12 battle that was last weekend, let's talk just really fast. We didn't really have a play on this one, so we can just zip right through this, Matt, if you want to. That's number 18 UCLA at number 15 Oregon State. As the Beavers were a 3.5-point favorite, they cover that in Moss, 36-24. The over-under for this one was 54. If you took the over, yay.
Yeah, UC lost this game by double digits. We didn't touch this one. I leaned UCLA. They beat Oregon State in the first down battle by 9. Had more yards. It won the time possession battle. They just gave up the long ball to Oregon State in the past game and turned over the ball a little way too much. I mean, they put themselves in a hole early. It's hard to go into halftime with 3 interceptions, having one of them be a pick six, and try to rally in that second half. So turnovers will kill you bottom of the line.
Yeah, and they definitely did in this one as UCLA picks up their second loss of the season. All right, let's get to the game that mattered the most for everybody out there. It was the game of the weekend. You had College Game Day there in Seattle, Washington, as it was number 8 Oregon against number 7 Washington, as the Ducks were a 3-point dog in this one. I liked Oregon in this. Full disclosure, I took Oregon. I took them plus the 3, so I pushed. But this one finishing up UW 36-33 over the Ducks. Now all of a sudden, people talking about not only the Huskies' chances of making the college football playoff, but Michael Penix being a guy that needs to garner more Heisman Trophy considerations. I mean, not only are people looking at Washington, Matt, as now a college football playoff contender, I've even heard people say this is a team that can finish the drill and win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, Washington's performing great. I mean, they just went to, against Oregon, which is one of the best defenses in college football. And they put up 36 on them. That's no joke, And Michael Penix has been awesome, especially with now Caleb Williams losing that last game, the way he performed against Notre Dame. I mean, Michael Penix, he's Heisman worthy. So, I mean, Oregon had 7 more first downs than Washington in this game. They had more than 100 more yards than Washington. They had more passing yards than Washington. They had more rushing yards than Washington. And they won the time possession by about 10 minutes. And we liked Oregon. We didn't bet them, but we did like them. We leaned that way. They even had less turnovers. The difference was Oregon was 0 for 3 on 4th down, while Washington was 2 of 3. And one of the only other differences was the missed field goal at the end to send the game to OT. I mean, Oregon played well, and they're definitely the right play, but sometimes it's just the way it goes. The Ducks won the box score, but the Huskies won the game, and you got to welcome yourself to the world sports then.
Yep, no doubt about it, as the Ducks now hoping that maybe they can get that rematch in Vegas at the Pac-12 championship game. I believe the Pac-12 now is going away from divisions. If not, I can do some research, or somebody can hit me up on Twitter at Dan Mathews, HOU. But most leagues, not named the SEC, have gone away from the division setup, so it's just top 2. So if that's the case, would love to see Oregon and Washington at the end of the season as a rematch of that game, because it lived up to the billing. It was a lot of fun. It was really an interesting one to be able to pay attention to. All right, coming up this next show on Thursday, can I interest you in Ohio State, Penn State? I see thumbs ups out there. I think we can. Can I interest you in number 17, Tennessee, at number 11, Alabama? Again, 2 thumbs up from that guy. All right, there we go. Can I interest you in Duke in Florida State? I am seeing hands up. There we go. And also, too, we will get into USC Utah as well. So we will have all of those games. Although, Matt, you did tease something at the beginning of the show in terms of an early look. What do we got?
So Ohio State currently, last I checked, it was 3.5. Their favorite bite. If you can catch a 3, make sure to take that. I really do look for Ohio State minus the 3, key number. I'm liking Ohio State in this one. We'll talk about it more next week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this is an Ohio State offense that has started to kind of find their footing a little bit, even without having a Emeka Egbuka last week against Purdue, but they still go on the road and put up a huge number on Purdue. When I saw that number continuing to come down, I was like, you're just giving us money. You're giving us money. This is a bad Purdue football team. This is an Ohio State offense that's starting to find their footing. So it's going to be a lot of fun, no doubt about it, as we get the noon kickoff there from the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. So that'll be a lot of fun. All right, he's Matt Maltepes. I'm Dan Mathews. This has been another episode of Dan Mathews and the Animals. Until Thursday, everybody out there, be safe. Have some great plays in the meantime, and we will get you ready for the weekend coming up in episode 17 of Dan Mathews and the Animals. Until next time, take care, everyone.